Well, now you mentioned Alice Cooper. You've got Alice Cooper in the film,
Yeah.
Iggy Pop, Henry Rollins, an incredible cast of rock musicians, and as well as people like Malcolm McDowell and Dave Foley.
Yeah.
A bit of a change from your first film, Phil the Alien, which had a few names like Graham Greene, but certainly not star-studded in any sense. How did that come about?
You know, well, it's a bigger budget movie than my first film, obviously, and we basically, it started off with Iggy. We just sent him the script and an email, and he read the script and liked it. Once Iggy was in, then it was easy to get. That's how we got Henry. We just said Iggy was in it, and that was enough for Henry to be in it. And then you tell, like, one of my producers had worked with Moby before, so Moby, we had a connection that way. And the same thing, my other producer had worked with Malcolm McDowell before, and so once we had all those guys, then Alice Cooper was like, well, I played golf with Malcolm. I've known Iggy for 40 years. I know him. I know everyone in this movie, so yeah, I'll do it. You know,
Yeah.
so it's just sort of a domino effect, and you know, and it was just great. It's just great when someone that you love and respect and was your hero for so many years, you know, reads your thing and does it. And obviously they're not doing it for the money. And not because they've always wanted to be in a Canadian vampire movie, you know. They're just doing it because they're still really cool and really good and giving back. You know, I see it as giving back, anyways.
Right. Well, now you're working with a lot of musicians though who aren't actors per se, although people like Iggy Pop, of course, they've done their share of films. I mean, is it any different working with musicians as opposed to actors on a set?
Well, it only was in that I worried a little bit because it is a small budget movie. I mean, it's a lot more money than I had last time, but it's still a low budget because once you start paying union rates and things like that, it eats up your money. So there's not a lot of time. So I was just a little concerned going in that, you know, some of the professional things like hitting your mark, doing it this way, doing it with a prop, with guys that it's not their A job, you know, that might be hard, or I might get intimidated and not be able to direct them or something like that. And nothing could be further than the truth. All the rock stars were total professionals, came totally prepared, and made me feel completely at ease, which is like a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah. I found it kind of amusing that you've cast Iggy Pop as sort of the voice of reason, you know, the sober guy in the film, and I think it's one of the few times that he's actually appeared with his shirt on as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Was that casting against type? Was that?
I don't think it's really against type. I think the part that he was playing is of a guy who's been through it all and seen it all, and I think Iggy's done both of those. And so when it's sort of like the older, wiser wizard role who tells the people, look, I've been around, I've seen it all. You know, wear a condom, don't trust vampires. These are the rules we live by. This is the code now. You know, and so I thought the great thing about Iggy is you point a camera at him, he's got instant credibility. I mean, I don't even mean just as a rock and roll legend, which he is, of course, but there's something about that face. You can't act that face, you know. You can't make it, and it gives the part credibility, it gives the movie credibility, and it's great. And that's, you know, and same thing goes for everyone else, like Alice and Malcolm. It's just like, it's just the screen presence, you know. These people became stars for a reason.
Yeah.
And they didn't just become stars; they became very cool stars, you know. And so it's like, that's harder to do, you know.
Yeah.
And they did it exceptionally well for decades.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, speaking of that, I mean, you've sort of very cleverly used some old footage of Malcolm McDowell from Lindsay Anderson's "Oh Lucky Man."
Yeah.
Anyone who's seen that film immediately, it's like, oh yeah, I know that scene. I know where that's from. Whose idea was that?
Well, the scene was written as a flashback, and then the producer came to me one day and said, well, it would be great if we could license older footage. And I said to her, you're crazy. There's no way Warner Brothers would do that, and there's not going to give us this. And if they did, it would cost the budget of our film. It's not going to happen. Forget about it. Put it in your head. And then Malcolm went and talked to someone at Warner Brothers for us and did it. And it's now like my favorite sequence in the movie. It's just so great. And that part. And we got the footage, and then I designed it all around that. And that song, that whole sequence. That I don't know. It's just like now I can't even imagine doing it the way I had planned to do it. Now that actually happened, you know, it's one of the first big wow moments of the movie for me, anyways.
Right, right. And Alice Cooper, again, he's always seemed to be sort of like a natural for horror films. I'm surprised that he hasn't been used more frequently.
Yeah, Alice Cooper. I mean, yeah, you couldn't pick a more perfect person for rock and roll horror than the guy that started rock and roll horror, and that's definitely Alice Cooper. I mean, he's been doing theatrical rock before anyone.
Yeah,
You know?
he probably brings his own makeup, right?
Well, you know what? It's funny because you say that, because he did say to us, like, you guys got no money. I got everything. I'll bring wardrobe. I'll bring clothes. And we were like, great. But there was something that we had to provide something because we knew we were going to have to cut the back open. So we said, well, we'll get this and what have you. But yeah, he showed up ready to wear, ready to go.
Right, and he brought his daughter along as well.
Yes, Calico. She was awesome. Yeah, she was totally funny. She told a funny story about them going across the border, and the border guard's like, "So you suck, huh?" And I was like, "Yes, me and my daughter are doing a movie in Canada called Suck." She's like, "It's a vampire movie." There's no porn in vampire.
Yeah.